Good afternoon, and welcome to everybody joining us from wherever you are in Europe or globally. Very nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us. This being the second Route4Gas webinar that's taken place, and with a topic that will be mainly focusing on gas storage in the European markets. Before we get started, just a couple of very important people to welcome and say hello to. Alexey, Mileev, the Chief Executive and founder of Route4Gas. Alexey, nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second Route4Gas webinar. And thank you for joining us today. Special thanks for speakers and for participants of our panel discussion. And I believe that we will have very interesting presentations. Please enjoy. Justin?
Alexey, thank you very much, and good to see you again. Stephan Kamphues, the chairman of the board, Vier Gas Transport. Stephan, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Unfortunately, again, only a remote webinar. Next time, perhaps we can have a meeting at the premises of Route4Gas. So welcome everybody on behalf of the board of Route4Gas and also in the name of the owners. I'm looking forward to an interesting afternoon with some new aspects and looking at it from a new angle. So I hope we can enjoy the afternoon. Justin.
Great, thanks, Stephan. And yeah, even though it's only remotely, it is of course great to see you both here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Justin Colley. I'm the editor of the European Electricity Report at Argus Media. And okay, we've got some really great presentations lined up today, focusing on a topic that is incredibly appropriate at this time. We've seen huge withdrawals from gas storage over the winter this year. And in fact, a net withdrawal in April, which is a very unusual situation. So we've got some really great experts who are going to give us some insight into what's going on the markets and how we can make sure that we're in a position to make the best of this. Just a quick introduction of all the speakers before we get started. We've got Jacob Mandel, a personal colleague and friend of mine working at Argus Media on the natural gas desk. So look forward to seeing your presentation, Jacob. We have Agneta Kutcelim, who's the head of the commercial team at Ukrtransgaz, the Ukrainian TSO. We have Zbynek Pokorny, who's the head of sales at RWE Gas Storage in the Czech Republic. We'll have Haizmann, a board member at EFET, and Georg Giokas-Sales, the sales lead at Route4Gas, who will all be joining us for presentations as well as for answering some questions at the end. So I'll get started with the presentations in a second. Just one thing to point out, we will be holding a Q&A session after the presentations. So if you have any questions for any of the presentations as we're going through them, please put them in all the chats of the mediums that you're participating in, and then we'll bring them up at the end. So we look forward to answering any of your questions directly on any of these. Okay, well, as I said, we've got some really great presentations lined up for today, so let's get started. And kicking us off is going to be Jacob from Argus. Jacob, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Great, great. Nice to have you here, Jacob. So I'm going to pass over to you then and let you get started with your presentation.
Thank you very much, Justin. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacob Mandel. I'm the deputy editor with Argus's European Natural Gas Desk. And as time is short, I think I'll just jump into everything quickly, and hopefully everything on the tech side is in good order. So I just wanted to provide a brief overview of European storage and kind of dive a little bit into our expectations for the summer and what we're looking at the start of the winter, as well as some of the key factors that may play into that. Sorry, one second. So I'm just going to go over the state of European gas stocks, what incentives look like for injections this summer, where we could end up with the stocks, and then hopefully if there's time, touch on a couple of different, I think, interesting aspects of on the demand and supply side this summer that could help set where stocks might end up. So as you can see, our stocks this year, and this is European-wide stocks, notable exclusions of Ukraine and Serbia. Our stocks are well down on the year, as I think everyone is aware, well below average, but they're not very far off from where we were in 2018, 2017. There was a number of different factors I won't get into now in 2019 and 20, so the last 2 years, that incentivized lifting inventories near close to capacity by the end of the summer, but this is quite unusual compared to previous years, and it doesn't look like we're on track to repeat either of the last 2 years' inventories. As you can see here in the light blue, these are our stock movements for the last 2 months, so far this summer, and they were much, much lower than in previous years, largely because of the cold weather, in which case we actually had net withdrawals across all of Europe in April and even in the beginning of May, and in some areas still. But that doesn't necessarily mean it will continue that way. Now, I just very briefly wanted to look at some of the kind of price incentives that we have for storage movements over the rest of the summer. And now, as you can see, if you look in the more recent days, we've seen a relative rise. This may have slipped again yesterday, where prices dropped. In the difference between the upcoming month and then the subsequent month, the month after that, prices hold a premium from the front of the curve towards those later in the summer. So there's much less incentive to actually inject as much as possible at months that are closer to the front of the summer than there are later. And the trend continues throughout the entire summer. And then similarly, you can see that the difference between summer prices and then this upcoming winter prices has actually decreased. So the kind of storage spread remaining over the rest of the year has tightened quite significantly, and in some cases coming very close to what actually the cost of injections are in some storage sites, especially in Germany, and some significant volumes actually. These include some of the largest sites operated by OMV, VNG, etc., where you have injection fees that range from close to about 50 cents per megawatt hour. So there's not a tremendous incentive to actually inject, even though we have very low stocks at the moment, relative at least to the last couple of years. Now here, we've put together a kind of a range of where we expect stocks could end, depending on different factors. And what you have is in the gray is kind of a projected stock range based on what injections could be over the rest of the summer. And then as a kind of anchor in the blue, average injection, where stocks would be based on kind of average injections in the last few years. And I think it's important to note that even the quickest injections would still leave stocks lower than they were in 2020, 2021. It's very unlikely that we would actually be able to bring stocks, gas stocks, to as high as they had been in those 2 years. And on the other side, the slowest injections would leave inventories under about 700 terawatt hours, which would actually be the lowest since 2011, which is quite a long time. I mean, at that point, actually, capacity was much lower aggregate in total overall of Europe, because it's expanded over the years in general. The injections based on the 5-year average would actually bring stocks close to the 2015 level at about 700 terawatt hours. And I think because time is short, I may actually end with this one. But I just wanted to point out that despite there being very little likelihood of us entering the next winter with high stocks. It looks like they'll be quite low. These would still be sufficient to meet any of the needs that we could possibly have over the summer or over the winter. In the light blue, you have winter withdrawals here. So this is just historic withdrawals. And then in the gray, you have the 5-year average for these withdrawals. And then you can see that based on kind of our expectations, the end of summer minimum stocks would still be above what those average withdrawals would be. And it still would be almost matching the highest in recent years, which are 2017 and 2020. But this is really the minimum stock level that there could be. And we might see someplace between that and the maximum, which would be more than enough. That said, it would almost under any circumstance leave us with very little gas at the end of next winter relative to previous years. Still, it would be enough to meet kind of any real foreseeable needs, barring a very extreme, I think, cold period. I think that, again, based on time, I think I'll skip. I had some further information if anyone's interested about what we could get out of thermal power generation, what amount of flexibility that could be provided by this sector, and some thoughts on what the limitations might be on the supply side, where we might end up with Russian gas, LNG, Norwegian supply, etc. And I'm happy to go into this in more detail later. So thank you again for your time. Apologies if I've gone over it all, but I'm happy to speak about these later. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, good to see all the data sort of put into context there. And yeah, no doubt we can come back to you at the end with any questions regarding that. Just a reminder to anybody listening in or watching on any of the platforms, if you have any questions to be directed towards Jacob, please just do send them in the chat and we will come to them at the end of the presentations. And that goes, of course, for any of the presentations today. All right, well, let's move along. We've got a few more presentations to get in before the Q&A. And now we are going to give some time for Agneta Kutcelim, the head of the commercial team at Ukrtransgaz. Agneta, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm fine. And thanks a lot for invitation and this opportunity to take part in the webinar and to represent Ukrtransgaz, a system storage operator of Ukraine.
Great. Nice to see you here. And I will allow you to go ahead with the presentation. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. So Ukrtransgaz is the system storage operator, and starting from January 2020, after unbundling process, is not operating transmission system, and the activity is focused only the storage activity. Ukrtransgaz is operating 12 storages located on the territory of Ukraine. And I can give in this slide some short information about the withdrawal season results. I can admit that this withdrawal season was unusual for the storage operator because it lasted for 194 days. And we started the withdrawal season with the stocks on the level of a bit more than 28 BCM and ended it with 15.1 BCM in storages. The commercial structure of the stocks you see in this slide is represented the quantity of customers we have. For the moment, it's more than 900 clients, among them more than 100 non-residents, and from 26 countries. So as we see that the interest to Ukrainian storages among non-resident companies is growing, and especially after implementation of the service customs warehouse plus short haul is the special regime delivered by the TSO of Ukraine. What are the bonuses, or why is so much interest in our storage services? So as you can see in the slides, the competitive pricing. We took into account the short haul regime and the tariff for entry and exit points at the border, plus storage services, and compared it with other storage tariffs. And you see that they are favorable in comparison with other storages. And taking into account a huge active volume, it's the 30.9 BCM. It's Ukrainian storages are still very interesting for entities. After talking about the competitive pricing, I would like to say some words about the services we offer to the clients. As you know, that Ukraine has implemented in 2015 network code, storage code, standard agreements, storage agreement and transportation agreement. They are approved by our national regulator, and all the activity done by a storage operator is in line with these normative documents. So what services we offer at the moment? So the basic ones are, as usual, injection, withdrawal, and storage, and special services, custom warehouse, and custom warehouse in the short haul regime is the special regime, which allows not Ukrainian entities to store gas in the storages without paying taxes and custom duties up to 3 years. This service was introduced in 2017 and gave possibility non-residents to enter the market and start trading in storages with non-residents as well as residents. Additional services, these projects were started in last year, so we introduced also monitor of the gas which is in pledge in storages, and started a project with the Ukrainian Energy Exchange. The project is divided into 2 parts. The first one we have launched in April. It's trading in the storages with the customs clear gas. In process, the second part of the project is to allow non-residents to trade on Ukrainian Energy Exchange on the s.r.o VTP of uncleared gas. So we are not stopped on basic services. We are all the time improving and adding some new services for the clients. And if talking about diversification, please next slide, possible, in detail about these additional services we introduced. The monitoring of pledged gas in underground storage facilities. It's a new service which involves financial institutions and banks, and give more opportunities for potential creditors and more opportunities for borrowers. And this is the service which allows the bank to monitor gas that is in pledge by s.r.o, and s.r.o is responsible in line with the trilateral agreement between bank, our storage client, and s.r.o bank and storage client. As you see that almost equal percentage of customers were interested in this service that we made in February this year. Please, next slide. So talking about exchange trading, as I told that we started in April the first stage. At the moment, information platform of the s.r.o allows residents to trade on Ukrainian Energy Exchange, and we receive information about these deals and confirm them or reject in line with the requirements of the code and the agreement. And the accreditation is still ongoing. The number of clients is growing also. And we see a progress and an opportunity in this project. We also see that non-residents are interested in this process, and we are working on automation and documentation of the process with the Ukrainian Energy Exchange. So, introduction of new services. As I told you before, it's not only a new possibilities on the platform, it's also a process and integration with our customs authorities. As you know, that customs warehouse regime works and under our customs code, and Ukrtransgaz, the system storage operator, is reporting to our energy customs, and at the moment we have a project, we'd like to introduce it to automate our process and document flow with our customs. And the second one, which is very important for the whole market of Ukraine, is the switch to energy units. At the moment, Ukrainian market is working in cubic meters, so the balance is done in cubic meters, all the deals and accounting in storages is made in cubic meters. Ukraine switched to energy units only at the border with the adjacent system operators. And after adoption of the law 2553, the whole market will switch into energy units. And of course, storage system operator is preparing to this, doing all necessary things in our platform to be ready to this full switch. Also, in order to minimize paperwork and be more transparent, more open, and to give easy access of non-residents to our services, especially in times of quarantine limitations and pandemic, we'd like to introduce a public storage agreement to automate the whole process of documenting with the client. And this work is, of course, together with our regulator, and the period when it will be adopted depends, of course, on our mutual work. So basically, it's shortly about system storage operator and our main results and services, and what we are doing now to diversify our services and be more interest to customers. Always ready to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agneta. Very, very nice presentation, and very, very interesting, in fact, to hear developments about Ukraine, which is certainly becoming an increasingly important market to which more people are being exposed to. So very nice, thank you. Any questions that anybody has? Of course, the same with any of the presentations, please just put them in the comment section and we will come to them at the end of the session. So we have two more presentations that we're going to be lucky enough to receive today. So next we're going to pass on to Zbynek Pokorny at RWE, who's going to give us some insights into storage and trading instruments that are surrounding those. Zbynek, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm great, thanks a lot.
Good to see you. Yeah, looking forward to your presentation. So let's head straight on with it, and we'll pass on to you.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Also from my side, I'm very happy to join this event, as it's always pleasant to discuss the genuine storage. That means gas storage, not batteries. Despite the name of this webinar, I will talk about gas storage neither as a top-notch trading instrument. This is an obvious thing, so why to talk about it, nor as the best guarantor of security of gas supply, as it's also obvious. So my main topic today would rather be to briefly show you that even quite rigid business as gas storage might be perceived, maybe by some people, can be done more digitally or electronically. But let me start, as I was allowed to do so by R4G, with very brief introduction of or if you want, promotion of my company. So we are the biggest gas storage operator in the Czech Republic. We own and operate 6 storage facilities, 4 of them being depleted fields, 1 aquifer, and 1 cavern, not a salt one, but cavern digged out in granite. This is a unique one. It's the only one in the world, and you are very welcome to visit us there once we are in normal times again. Okay, 6 storages, but we market them as one virtual storage. With the parameters you can see on the slide, the volume around 29 terawatt hours and corresponding withdrawal and injection capacities, rather seasonal, I would say. The beauty of the virtual storage is that we can play with it, like, to do faster, slower bundles. And also, which is very important for our customers, is the impact on maintenance periods. Because, if one storage is out, we can compensate to a large extent with the others. How we sell our capacity, it's basically online. We've done so since 2009 when we introduced auctions, but I have another slide on this. We are very, very transparent. We publish all our historical auction prices, so you can find them on the web, and also many operational data on daily basis. And of course, we do our best to operate and run our storages safely and reliably. Who doesn't? Good. That's how we sell our capacity. As I said, it's done online, practically only online. There are 2 ways. One, I would say 98 or maybe 99% of our total capacity we sell via online auctions. So all yearly capacities or monthly, it's sold via this auction system, how we call it. Until now, we've done only ascending clock auctions because it was prescribed to us by the legislation. But as from July this year, we should be able to use also other types of auctions, and we will be happy to do so. The good thing about auction is that immediately after the auction ends, you know the results. So you know how much you bought and for what price. And of course, all auction conditions are published in advance. That's clear, so you can make up your mind. Good, then we have another IT tool that, let's call it customer portal. That's a good thing if you want to buy additional withdrawal and injection capacity, firm interruptible day ahead within day, but also if you want to get other services, like if you want to lease or transfer your booked capacity to somebody else, if you want to buy additional volume, interruptible, we call it here temporary working volume. But what you can also do is to do gas in store transfers. This is actually the main point for today. So you can do so via this portal. You can do both to transfer gas between your contracts, so because many clients have more contracts, but also from your contract to a counterparty. But I have an additional slide to this as well. And via this portal, you can manage all your contracts and create bespoke reports. Nothing very special, I would say. Good. A short overview of our prices, our recent prices. You see, we've been quite active in the past 16 months or 17 months. What you see there is in the columns, you see the volumes we offered, sold, or were not so successful. You see all the information there. And the points, they represent the final price in the auction and the relevant spread. So you see there's strong correlation between our final prices and the spread. But this is also not surprising because that's a well-known thing. If we look 1 year back, maybe from today, you see there that we were able to get prices exceeding €6. Now, if you look at the last auction we held 1 week ago, it's below €2. But that's the world we live in. If you are interested in more details, you can have a look on our webpage. You'll find there everything you need. Good, and now gas in store transfers. I wanted to show you here the development of gas in store transfers in our storage, volume-wise, but also the number of deals that have been done until now. I'm talking here only about external transfers, by which I mean transfers done between two counterparties, because I think this is more relevant. So you see there's some increasing trend starting 2018, going up, but still not good enough, I would say. And this is why we have Route4Gas, to increase us this number, because we like if our customers use our services. Then how is it done at the moment? This is here how. It's done online in our customer portal. The difficult thing is to find the counterparty at the moment. So this is something what we also hope that we can use Route4Gas for, to find a counterparty for the respective customer. How long does it take now? Now it takes 3 days to transfer your gas to somebody else. That's a standard time. Sometimes we can be faster, but actually Route4Gas persuaded us, convinced us to shorten this period, and we will listen, and we will cut it to 1 day only, so you can do day-ahead gas in-store transfers very, very soon. How much does it cost? At the moment, we charge 2 € for every transferred megawatt hour within storage, with some minimum and maximum amount of money we require. The footnote there is just saying that, if you have one contract expiring, you want to transfer gas to another one that is still valid, that we won't charge you anything, which is quite fair, I would say. And really, yes, it's true. And that would be it for now. So I just wanted to share with you that we're trying to do our best to be more digital, to do stuff more electronically, and also to somehow thank Route4Gas, to start discussion with us about how we can improve our gas in store services. Thank you.
Thank you, Zbynek. Very nice. Of course, great to get the perspective of a company such as yourself with such a large share of involvement in the market. And I would say you actually brought us on very nicely to the final presentation, which I will introduce in a sec. So thanks very much. Just a reminder to everybody, there are some questions coming through now, which is good to see. Any questions that you have on any of the presentations, just put them in the comments and we will get to them after our final presentation. So yes, let's move on to the last one. Georg Giokas from Route4Gas, who's going to give us an update on what Route4Gas is doing and how that is going to help people focus on the topic of today, which is gas storage. Georg, nice to see you. How are you? You're on mute. I had to say it to somebody today.
Now I did
Yes.
it. I did
Good
it.
to hear you. Good to hear you.
Was mute. Yeah. Thanks, Justin. Really great to have you as a moderator here, and thanks to all the other speakers, Agneta, Jacob, and Zbynek. It's really great to have you in this webinar, and let's go for it. Yeah. So to the auditorium. Yeah, it's the last presentation, so stay in. Yeah. It's very important, and normally the best at the end, yeah. And after my presentation, we'll then have the Q&A session. I already see there are questions coming in, so really happy that we have an active auditorium, yeah. That's really great. So having heard the insights of Agneta, Jacob, and Zbynek, it's now really the time to that you can imagine what comes next, yeah, and that is in fact putting all together, especially to link all this information and to link everything which is possible in the market, and that's Route4Gas vision. And we can even call us not only Route4Gas, but perhaps also Link4Gas, yeah. And I show you now why we can call us. You see here our vision. We want to link all the physical positions in this European market, and so increase liquidity. What you see here on the right side is a screenshot of our analytics tool we provide for free for our customers. And this tool aggregates all the relevant data regarding flows and regarding capacities. And you see already on the map what we're doing. It's really linking everything, linking the markets, linking positions, and now also linking storages. But let me start first to give you a general insight what we are doing and what we are offering and providing to our customers, and then the description of the product itself. So we offer an algorithm to, as it's stated here, to maximize the automatic multilateral matching. So we're not talking about just bilateral netting, or let's say bilateral matching, which is done by brokers and exchanges, but we add all the participants. In this way, we add and concentrate liquidity because we are using single matching rounds. At the moment, we are running 2 rounds a day. And this means that having the customers in only 2 rounds inside, many positions are at the same time in our system. And that helps a lot to increase the liquidity. And the next point, which is also very important, this unlocks additional trading opportunities. So the first question you might have, of course, is how we add and concentrate liquidity. I already mentioned it, that we have all the positions at one place at the same time. So because of the fact that we use single matching rounds, and that's a novum in the European gas market. It's comparable to auctions, which is normally used, for instance, for capacities, but we use it here as well for the physical positions and the physical gas trading. A main point here is that you have all the possible counterparties available on one place at the same time. And that means, again, it's not that we're looking for an opposite interest of your positions, but everyone, all the counterparties can be your counterparty, and even more counterparties can be your trading party just for one position. So it might be split, of course, to many others. And that means that those multilateral combination will increase the matching probability. And we found out that it's up to 65%, which is huge. And in a gas market, especially in illiquid gas markets, it's very interesting to have a higher probability to be matched. The second question you might ask now is how we unlock the trading opportunities. The main point here is that we link all European gas markets. And that means that because of possible cycle flows, you will get and will receive trading opportunities because of adding those European gas markets. It's not all about TTF and NZG or in future DE. Yeah? It's more than that. It's also adding a Slovakian market. It's also adding a Polish market and Bulgarian market and so on. And that means that you have a broader view on the whole market and also more opportunities there. We link those physical flows. We talk about unused capacities, existing flows, all possible location swaps. We link them all to the trading instruments you already know. So you have then this, let's call it screen, so the Route4Gas application, in addition to your broker screens or exchange screens. And that makes it more valuable, and of course adds a certain value to your trading or supplying actions. Having this as well means that we create even new positions and offer them to the market, and that's then be possible to be traded as so-called missing links. So we add another trading opportunity to the market, which makes it more interesting and a bigger chance to do that. So that's the description of our system, of our application. Feel free, if you need more information, we're here for you. And now let's go for the main topic in this webinar, and it's a storage, and it's our storage product. The gas and store, which is, let's say, well known, especially for the originators among us. It's something which is bilaterally traded, but we want to place it in a next level in the trading, and that's with the help of our application. So the task was and is to utilize and monetize the storage working gas. And what will we do, or what are we already doing? We linked all the qualified storages among each other and to all European VTPs at the moment on a day-ahead basis, in future also, of course, for curve or longer periods. Yeah. So that's something which is totally new in the market, and for that we use the location swaps. But let me show you how we do that, or how it's visualized in our system, so that you can imagine what we're doing. So taking the classical European map, you all know, yeah. Let's add now the VTPs that are the green dots, and add in yellow dots, in dark yellow dots, the storages. We've put some of them here in the system, on the map in our system. Those are some of the qualified storages, and what we did is just to put another layer into our system, adding all those storages, linking together, and that's the most important thing, then also be able to link them to all the VTPs. So we unlock them to their main VTP and link them to all other VTPs as well. That means, for instance, you can trade a location swap between TTF and the RWE storage in Czech Republic, and then you will learn to know Zbynek, of course, when you do that. Yeah. And that's possible. So the same, for instance, that you, for instance, combine the RWE storage and the Yemgum storage. That's the same. Yeah. So there are any combination possible. There's just one yellow dot left. That's the Ukrtransgaz storage. It's not yet in our system, but we are sure that soon we will add it and add another value to the system, and also to all participants. So you see how we add it to our system, and that means new chances for the traders, for the suppliers, because you can move then working gas even without touching withdrawal injection rate. If necessary, of course, that's part of your contract and it's needed, but you can even swap then and do gas in store deals if they are matched in our system. Due to the circle flows we are looking for and net them out, then you can imagine that also that so-called popular directions, yeah, are possible to be traded in our system, because of the fact that they are added to all other flows inside the application inside the round at that time. And another point which I want to mention here is that it becomes more and more important, the topic security of supply. So although Zbynek told us it's obvious, everything is obvious what you do here, but it's worth mentioning it. Yeah, security of supply, a product which can be traded as well. Yeah, and it's already in discussion in our company, and it's in a part of development. and we invite all the companies being interested in, we call it multilateral brainstorming, any discussion how we can add this as a service to our system, as we can scale our application in any way we want. So here the invitation to all of you if you're interested. Just to mention also the requirements for gas and store deals, which are of course obvious, but just to mention it here because there's especially one task which must be acknowledged. The valid storage agreement of course must be in place, so that's clear. It's also clear that sufficient gas should be being stored if you want to sell, and sufficient working gas capacity must be available if you want to buy. And the most important point is be aware that time limits might be not in line with a day-ahead deal. We know now that RWE Storage Czech Republic is acting accordingly. Really happy to have this cooperation, that it's possible to be in time with the contract, with the transaction. Others might be not that fast as Zbynek, but they will follow, and we really hope that that will be the case soon. But for the beginning, be aware this might be the case, but shouldn't be a problem to conclude such a deal. Finally, I'm happy to show you our next steps, so our next milestones. We have already in the physical positions and storages, as already mentioned, so everything from unused capacity to existing flow and the normal location swaps, but we will add much more than that. So the points 2 and 3 are very important. We see there is a demand, and that's something what we want to provide to the market, to the customers. The one is the multilateral nomination netting. Really great thing. We are in fact ready. It's just about to have a relevant, the critical mass of customers in that we can start on that. And the unbundled capacities, we call it sunk unbundled capacities, something we are in discussion with many companies. So if you're one of them, we are not in contact yet, feel free to contact us. We see that if you watched our last webinar, that partly up to 50% of the capacities owned by the companies are still unbundled capacities, and those might be out of the money because of the fact that the market spreads are quite small and became smaller. And now let's go for that we can say, okay, let's make a bit of money out of it, so reduce the losses on those capacities and try to monetize them partly at least. And we are quite sure that we will have a solution soon. So we are happy to have additional companies discussing it with us, because we want to implement something that is really good for the market. And as the last point, LNG and curve products, of course, that's something we had to in 2021. Let's see when we really can publish them and launch them. The first step towards those products is already done. You see in the left down corner, with starting of June, we will be an OMP, so an organized marketplace, and that means a higher grade of automation is possible, and that's mainly because of execution inside our system. So, as already said, thanks a lot for watching. It's great to have you all here. And Justin, let's go for the Q&A session.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much, Georg. Again, very nice presentation, and it's really good to see that you're obviously very much up to date with the market and looking forward at the new developments in the market and making sure that the products that you're offering are the best ones available for people trading the market. So thanks to everybody for all the presentations. It's very good to have a wide view on market perspectives from different players within the markets. And yeah, as Georg said, let's move on to some questions now. We've got quite a few that have come through the chat, so very good to see people engaging with the presentations. Any more questions that people have, do please send them in the comments and we will look at them now. Okay, first one, we can sort of combine a couple. Welcome to everybody back onto the screen. Nice to see you all. Agneta, a couple of questions that hopefully you could shed some light on. Are there any plans for the regulator to change the calculation methodology for storage tariffs? If so, do you have any details on that? And are there any plans to set the price for Ukrainian storage service fees in euros? So we've got a couple of questions there. If you could share some insight with us on those.
Sure. So in brief, I can tell that Ukrtransgaz just finished a revision and audit done by regulator in April, and we got the results. It was very fruitful mutual cooperation between regulators and UTG's team. And so after this audit, we are really focused on analyzing switch to another methodology. Probably you know that at the moment we are using cost plus methodology for calculation of our tariffs, and we are analyzing possibility to switch to RWE methodology. But of course, this process involves several milestones, such as analysis, to choose the model, to make analysis, to do pricing of the assets, and drafting of this documentation with the regulator. So in plans to change the methodology is not earlier than the next storage year. It's April 2022. So if we'll be well prepared and we'll be ready in the end of this year, we'll change the methodology. But to say it now that it will be or not, it depends on several factors. So we are working on this to change the methodology, but to make all our clients sure that it won't be done in the some middle of the storage year. So it will be done from April, not earlier than the next year. And the next question regarding fees in euros. We had this question from our clients, non-residents, and we understand that for them it's easier to pay in euros, but the Ukrainian storages are operating on the territory of Ukraine and delivering services not only to European entities, but for our internal entities and even end consumers, big plants who can store gas for their needs. So the approach is the same for in line with the current legislation, that the tariffs are established in hryvnias, Ukrainian currency, and all the currency coming for the services is recalculated into hryvnias in line with the exchange rate of our National Bank of Ukraine. So plans to change at the moment, no. So it will be in hryvnias. And maybe I answered, I guess, all the questions, Justin?
Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah, thanks very much, Agneta. Thanks for clearing those up. Yes, okay. We have a few other questions which are directed to you, Georg, and following up on your presentation. So one referring to the Route4Gas platform locks in the physical arbitrage, but in terms of transport capacity, is that something that needs to be booked separately?
Well, of course, everything what is about transportation capacity itself, so trading capacity, is something which is still on the TSO side or on the Prisma side. We are only, let's say only, talking about avoiding some flows or making money out of some flows, but not to trade the capacity itself. That's not done in our system.
Yeah, okay, that certainly makes sense. One other question as well. So regarding storage, transactions, swaps incorporated in the current rounds you hold for day ahead, what's the typical lead time required for the gas in-store transactions?
Well, it depends on the SSOs, on the storage operator regarding the lead time. We see Zbynek told us it can be decreased down to the day ahead, so that's it's in time, let's say, But it might be that on some storages it's up to 3 or up to even 5 days, that the gas and store transaction is finalized inside the storage. On our in our system, in our application, it's done on the day ahead basis, which means it's done on the day ahead price. So at the time you agree on this execution of the deal. It's done at that price, and then it's just a matter of when the papers are done with the storage operator.
Great, thanks for clarifying that, Georg. Okay, Jan, let's have a question coming your way. Nice to see you. We were looking at the Zbynek's presentation, and he showed that liquidity in the RWE storage was likely to increase with the use of Route4Gas. What's the EFET line on this, and what's EFET's activity looking like regarding storage deals, not just in Europe, but also in the Ukrainian customs warehouse gas storage? Would you be able to just give us a little bit of insight there, please?
Yes, of course. Good afternoon. We are an association of energy traders, so we're not an association of storage operators. So let's say traders' activities in storages is being declined of storage operators. So we have not, in so far, not provided any sort of contractual cover, nor have we had many activities in so far in the storage sector. What we have recently launched and is an initiative to help Ukrtransgaz with its customs warehouse storage product, simply because this is a liquidity point in Ukraine, which is there, which is attractive, which makes sense commercially, and which could also be, let's say, a little bit of a liquidity point looking at the general gas market development there. And we recently, to be concretely yesterday, had a workshop with Ukrtransgaz, very successful one. And the number of participants show that there is a lot of interest in these products. Ukrtransgaz is a proactive company. They see in the opportunities, and I think there will be customers for these opportunities. So there is a positive view on the potential of Ukraine to become a even more important storage provider looking forward.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jan. Okay, we've got a few minutes left and a few more questions that I think it'd be good to discuss with everyone. Jacob, nice presentation earlier. A few of the slides towards the end you got through quite quickly. I understand you were being very considerate at the time, so thank you for that. There were a few slides, at least one mentioning Nord Stream 2. What's your perspective there? Are we going to see it start up in summer? And what could be some potential impacts on the markets from that?
Thanks, Justin. Actually, I think it's quite a relevant question when it comes, especially when it comes to storage, because in some ways, if this pipeline comes online, it sets a higher limit for what Russian gas can come into the market, and it would reduce the kind of, I guess, the reliance or the importance of, or it could offset, I guess, there being like much lower stocks headed into the winter. In terms of when or if the pipeline comes online, I think it's a lot of speculation in that regard, and there's not so very, very definitive answers that you can come up with. But in terms of the line's construction, at least one of the pipelines, that the two separate infrastructure pipelines that make it up, is getting closer to completion. I think it could actually, all of the pipeline could be laid in about a month from now. The other one is a bit further back, a couple of months behind, but still would be able to be completed. And then after that, you would have some period of time that would be needed to actually fill the pipeline with gas, complete other technical works, pipeline with decertification. There's a lot of hurdles still to get through. Though it would be, I think, feasible for one of the half of basically the capacity to come online by the winter, which is still quite a large volume. Though again, beyond that, we don't really know what the regulatory regime around it. Well, we have an idea what the regulatory regime is, but we don't know how much access Gazprom will have to that capacity to deliver gas. So it's very much a question still, because we could have part of the pipeline online able to deliver a small amount of gas, or we could have much more of it. It could certainly be quite important on what the expectations are for when that line comes on for storage, because one I think interesting side to it that could be quite important is that Gazprom usually injects into storage in Europe over the summer and hasn't really done that so far this summer. And it ended the summer with very little gas storage, and it hasn't been able to, or hasn't chosen, I guess, to fill that space. So when it comes to winter, when it usually needs that capacity to meet customer nominations, to meet demand in Europe, in different European markets, especially in Germany and Northwest Europe, it would be difficult for them to do it without having extra capacity if they just don't have that gas in storage. So I think there's a lot of, it seems likely that we're going to get some of the line on, I think, by this winter. Because it's so high, though, it might seem something coming through it, but it's very hard to say about what the actual volumes might be. So I think that's really a big question mark hanging over the entire, next winter.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, certainly one to keep an eye on. Thanks for that, Jacob. Okay, we're close to the end now. Just a couple more questions then. One for Stephan. Stephan, we saw from Georg some of the new features that Route4Gas is planning, especially in terms of looking potentially at the LNG market. It seems almost impossible these days to have any sort of energy webinar or conference without mentioning hydrogen or green gas. So at Route4Gas, what's the outlook, and how are you preparing yourself for any new regulation or market setups based on the greater influx of green gas and potentially the hydrogen industry?
Yeah, before I answer that, in addition to Jacob, just a remark that there are countries like Cyprus that are only just about to enter the age of natural gas, and some others like Romania and Bulgaria are going to connect to the Black Sea resources. So still on the CH4, on the methane market, a lot is going on, and still a lot is to come. That also needs to be taken care of. But indeed, on everybody's mind now, CO2 free or low carbon gases. Looking at the latest increases of the CO2 certificates, we can expect an accelerated development of low and zero carbon gases, with biogas and blue hydrogen becoming more and more competitive already today, if you look at the price competitiveness. And these will be not available everywhere, but rather will need bridging and swapping, and thus require the services of Route4Gas. So we will see a broad demand and only spots of supply. And the first good example will be bio-LNG that is coming up at the receiving terminals, and as well you will see soon first synthetic LNG arriving at the European terminals. Also only very few spots, and then you need to get that across Europe, and that offers a lot of opportunities there because it's vested there in the LNG terminals. Although the receiving and transmission infrastructure are already in place, smart matching will offer a lot of efficient trading opportunities here. And then blue hydrogen will be available in certain spots, maybe the northern coast of Europe first, and then we will see how that develops. But the demand will be everywhere. And as we will need to wait a little bit for the green hydrogen, blue hydrogen will be the first thing on the market. And we see already now that a lot of the low carbon gas goes down to, for example, Switzerland. Yeah, and the same we will see with the blue hydrogen that will have a draw to the south. That all calls for matching of positions and allows interesting new businesses. But then the most important thing is that we get the certificates of origin established. Only that will allow us then also to expand more and more the trading. Finally, we will be seeing centralized and decentralized green gas or green hydrogen. And that is again something where we, in the beginning, will not have the infrastructure in place, so there will be a lot of matching possible, and that might be a very, very interesting new topic. My thought at this point in time, this will all come quicker than we thought, because the price competitiveness has always been the problem. But with the certificates now at that huge prices, I think the EU has achieved what it wanted. The entrance of hydrogen on economic basis. Justin.
Nice, thank you, Stephan. Yeah, you touched on some really interesting points there, and I think the development of decentralized markets is certainly one that means that we're all going to need to remain flexible in how our products are developed. So yeah, thank you very much for the insight there. Okay, just one more to end with then, and it seems fitting to go back to Alexey as the chief executive of Route4Gas. Georg mentioned that Route4Gas is in the process of becoming an organized marketplace. So what's encouraged this development, and how is this likely to play out?
First of all, our customers asked us to become OMP, and of course we had to follow the request. And becoming OMP, so this will allow our customers to have less manual work, because the execution will be done at our platform. And at the same time, so we have built the adapter between our system and the ETRM systems of our customers. And upon the request from the customer, so we can arrange the easy connection. So to have full automatization of all the deals being done at our platform. Justin?
Okay, great. Thanks for clearing that up, Alexey. Yeah, very good to know. Okay, well, we've gone slightly over the hour now, but I'm sure everyone will agree that it's been worthwhile to just get through the extra questions. The sun seems to be making itself known at me through the window, telling me to go outside and letting me know that we're at the end of the webinar now. Alexey, do you have any closing words that you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
I would like to be very short. I would like to say thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. And I hope that we'll be able to help you. And please call us, contact us, and we'll be able to explain what are the services can be provided by us. Thank you very much, Justin, for you being moderator. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexey. Yeah, and absolutely, just to echo those words, thank you to everybody for participating, all the speakers and the panelists. Thank you to all the audience for being here and for your questions. Obviously, without you, then none of this would happen. And we very much look forward to seeing the development of the Route4Gas products. As Alexey said, any questions that you have, they'd be happy to receive any questions from you. So yes, well, thank you everyone for participating, and hopefully we will manage to meet in person later on this year. But in the meantime, take care of yourself and look after yourself. Bye-bye.
You too. All the best.